Good morning, everyone. Sorry for coming late. It's due to network error from my side. Today, we'll continue with our course, the International Political System, IRD 303. So yesterday, we discussed the emergence and organization of the modern international system. We also discussed the political process in international community and contemporary thought state activity. Today, also we discussed the internal need of state. But while discussing this, I discovered that there was a series of network errors. So today we start from the goal of state activity. So let's start right away because of our time. The role of the state in developed economic society is to regulate and control all activity of the state in order to ensure the systematic development of country in a fair manner and in a welfare of their citizens. As a whole, all the modern and contemporary economic theories that developed the problem of state economy role in the circumstance of market economy are disposed between the two conceptions. On one hand, the new Keynesianism defends the expansion of the state intervention in economy, and the other hand, the neoclassical models that call on gradual reduction of the state control. All other theory essential as certain certainties of the mentioned above extreme positions. The beginning of this theory proceeds from the criticisms of two contrary approaches to the dimension boundary and the method of state regulation of economy. So, notwithstanding the specific characters of economic, cultural, national, and historical development of the various countries, where the maize economy operate well to some extent, and notwithstanding the economic theories that this country prefer, the economic roles of the country might be presented in the light of the following most significant function. So, they are listed economic role here that I will read next to you. Elaboration of economy, legislation securing the legal fundamentals and social climate that contribute to effective operating of the market economy, support of the competition and securing the function of market mechanism. I may not be able to have enough time to explain this, but I will explain the little one I can because of the time. We have less than 30 minutes for this class, and we still have a lot to cover. Redistribution of the income and material wealth that is oriented to solving the social problem of the country. Regulating the distribution of the resources from modification, the structure of national product and domestic product. Stabilizing the economy under a condition of economic junction, duration, and also stimulating of the economic growth. Then the last one here, enterprising activities of the state. So, therefore, the restitution and the privatization as a rule that means quantitative reduction of the economic state enterprises might be accompanied with a decrease of the regulating state role as well as the consolidation and expansion of the economic function fulfilled by the state. So let's quickly move to the next one, which is another topic, the means of exerting pressures and form of political relationship. Don't forget we are discussing international political system. We have discussed the the emergency and organization of this modern international system. We have discussed the political process in the international community and the contemporary thought on state activity. We just discussed we earlier discussed the external need of state and goal of state. So the above is the goal of state. That is the one we just concluded now. And yeah, now we want to discuss the means of exerting pressures and form of political relationship. The means of exerting pressures is the way the state exerting their pressures, how state exert their economic policy and political security in the international system. Then we also discuss the form of political relationship, what relationship between various states in the world at large. Okay, throughout the world, domestic political are routinely influenced by international pressure, leader activities and citizens. Such international level variable as important in explaining why political change does or does not take place in areas including corruption, trade, democratization, rule of law, human rights, and the adoption, good economic policy, and many others. For their part, international actors, including other state NGOs, INGO, investors, etc., routinely attempt to influence domestic politics in otherwise sovereign states using a variety of levers. Variety of levers, including foreign aid, loans, trade, technical assistance, international legal accountability, and rhetoric. It is worth noting that international actors are often invited to engage in such form of international pressure by the host government and sometimes under the auspices of the international mandate, such as in peacekeeping operation. Yet in political science, the traditional subfield divide, as well as tendency for debate to take place within substantive issue areas, has meant that the relations between the various tools of statecraft are understudied. The goal of this conference is to bring together a relatively diverse group of junior and senior scholars who are experts in specific type of mechanism by which international actors attempt to influence political in other states, particularly in developing countries. Paper do not need to be focused exclusively on the tools of international pressure, but presenter will be encouraged to comment briefly on the mechanism of international pressure operating in their areas of expertise. The goal is that conference will yield empirical ground discussion about larger theoretical debates and some productive cross-pollination can take place between otherwise distinct issue areas. So what this is talking about is the way the other country influence exerting pressures. It can be through political means, it can be through NGO, it can be through trade, and also the rule of law. It can be through human rights. So also through democratization. So these are the most means of pressure exerting pressures. Then the next one is in form of political relationship. Form of political relationship among states. There's no state that in idle. They are all working together. They all join together from one relationship or the other. So we have several forms of political relationship. The number one is conflict and consensus. We have war and peace and rise of the state. We also have the structural dimensions. We have trade, conflict, and cooperation among nations' foreign aid. We also have the national micro leadership management, just as we have police and politics, health development, emergency issues. So So let's quickly discuss briefly about some of these points. The nature of consensus change with the nature of social communication and interaction. In the digital age, consensus may be achieved or at least sought through social media and online network, for example, as much as through persuasive political rhetoric or interpersonal influence, such as consensual sentiment, is maintained by commonality that is underpinned by shared attachment to core socio-political institutions and acceptance of the norms and law they promulgate. This is not to say that interests and identities do not diverge, but in the case of a conflict between group of individuals, adjudication takes place with reference to these common interests and identity. So let's discuss the war and peace and the rise of the state. As agricultural settlement grew, defense became increasingly specialized. Social power came to the base. Increasingly, political relations as opposed to kinship relation. Sociologist Max Weber saw this evolution of the state as a consequence of a group gaining a relative monopoly on violence. In a similar vein, economic historian Douglas North has developed a theory of the state according to which a group with a comparative advantage in violence specializes in offering defense in return for a portion of the output of production. This group becomes the state. It should be noted that from the vantage point of economic science, the state can be viewed such as like a monopoly business firm. Albeit one with unique characteristics, an implicit contract exists between the state and the subject in exchange for protection from both external and internal aggression. Subjects provide the state with resources in form of tribute or taxes. Its superior fight power, and hence it is high degree of monopoly on violence. That is that about that. Let's go to the next one, which is the structural dimension. It may seem that the basic condition for the extension of diplomatic relations throughout the world was the existence of independent states able to develop political relationship among themselves, and notwithstanding, the history of diplomacy predates considerably that of the modern sovereign nation state. For the reason, it seems necessary to discuss briefly the circumstances instead of practice public-private communication. So let's also look at the trade conflict and cooperation among nations and foreign aid. Political scientists often look at the impact of foreign aid on international relations. One can view foreign aid simply as a transfer and payment from one country to another. Take the case when an actor has a political relation with two target countries and examine the effect of one target country offering aid to the actor. To the extent, such aid must be used to purchase the target export. Foreign aid enables the actor to purchase additional import from the actor. Okay, national micro leadership, micro national micro leadership management. That is consumption, import, and export trade management. Under this, international trade is a concentrated expression of economy and politics, and a concentrated expression of economic and political relations between the country and another nation or multi-nation. The commodity exchange in international trade is consumption. There is no consumption demand, there is no trade. It is consumption that affects the commodity exchange and development of commodity exchange. There are three different between international trade and domestic trade. We only listed two here. The expanded trade opportunity, and the second one is the existence of sovereign state cross-border. So let's go further. Policies, police and politics. Different pattern of police political relations develop but models derived from Europe and Northern America are now present throughout the world. Mutual suspicion has often characterized attitude between Anglo-American and continental European system because of contrasting relation between political authority and the law enforcement agency. There's now a degree of consensus among politicians in the advancing industrial democracy about the proper role of police, but our political system confront different problems. So, uh, health and development divergent issue, while many key issues relating to the health and development, transcend territorial space and require an understanding of the way in which economic, social, cultural, political relations intersect with health. Others are intrinsically spatial, the movement of people across barriers that are permeable to medical products, pathogens, and toxins has been associated with the development of new diseases, e.g. HIV and swine flu. Emerging disease, e.g. tuberculosis and antimicrobial resistance. According to International Air Transport Association statistics, airline carried 3.8 billion passengers on scheduled service in 2016, making the global travel an opportunity for spread of disease. In addition, there are an estimated 1 billion migrants in the world, of whom 258 million are international migrants and 763 million internal migrants. Okay, let's move, because of our time, let's quickly move to dynamic of aspect of revolution movement. Um, um, what is revolution itself? A revolution movement is a social movement. It's a specific type of social movement dedicated to carry to okay to carry out a revolution. Shastily define it as a social movement advancing exclusive competing competing claim to control of the state or some segment of it. While Jebel Godwin and James just were define it more simply and concerning with other work as a social movement that seek a minimum or overthrow a government, overthrow the government or a state. Social movement may want to take various reform to gain some control of the state, but as long as they do not aim to exclude and control its members are not revolutionary. Social movement may become more radical and revolutionary or vice versa. Revolutionary movements can scale down their demand and agree to share power with others, becoming the run of the main political party. Godwin, according to Godwin, distinguishes between conservative reform and radical revolutionary movement depending on how much a change they want to introduce. A conservative or reformist revolution movement, we want to change fewer elements of socio-economic and cultural system than the radical reformist movement. Godwin also notes that do not all radical movements have been a revolutionary. A radical revolutionary movement would thus want both to take an exclusive control of the state and to fundamentally transform one or more elements of its society, economy, or culture. Okay, let's move further. There are many types of revolutionary movements. We have the extremist start, the revolt. Those who are the most critical of the regime initiate revolution by expressing ideological, extreme critical, and later less uncritical individuals join the protest, but dissent less than the initiator. So what they are saying is that the extremists usually start this type of revolution, and less decent people will later join them in the protest. Then this are likely the kind of revolution by the opposition party to the ruling party. It usually starts with the opposition leader, but when the government are not performing to a better extent, the people will start losing interest and they will join the the opposition people in protest. The moderate starts in the revolution. The revolution starts with the moderate, expressing moderate and critic, and later less moderate individual join and express ideological extremal critic. This kind of like the one they did in Lagos and the answers, it is a revolution that start with moderate, expressing moderate and critic, and less moderate. This can also be described as an early time form of a revolution. Non-violence, you are just champion your cause. All groups start the revolution, all groups increase their dissent, but the stronger opponent of the regime lead the revolution by expressing the harshest critique throughout the protest. That is that about the type of revolution movement. Then we also have the factor. We have some crucial factor to the development of a successful revolution movement. And what are these factors? Number one is the mass discontent leading to popular uprising. When the masses feel that the government or the people or their leaders are disconnected from them, it can lead to revolution. Uprising is also revolution. Then number two is the decent political movement with elite participation. When the political system is full of elite, this can also lead to revolution. This system of government that deny the common citizen the right to participate in the government. That is what that is about. Then we also have the number three, the strong and unified motivation across major parts of the country. What the strong and unified motivation, the motivational people speak against the government or the people or the rulers. So this can also motivate people about involving themselves in revolution. Number four is a significant political crisis affecting the state, reducing the state ability or will to deal with the opposition. Yes, and like a political crisis affecting part of the state, like the Boko Haram insurgency can, as an example, can lead to uprising, and the unrest in the Niger Delta can lead to uprising because the people over there see it as a crisis that affects their area. So, like in Niger Delta, so most time they cannot be able to fish, which is their resources. They cannot be able to go to the water and make catch fish because the oil system have already damaged has evaporated the water, and the fishes in the water will not be able to sustain it. Then the last one, which is the external support or at least lack of interference on behalf of the state. This is a kind of situation where the foreign people or an external person in power in government, an external person outside the government influence the citizen, like the one that happened in the Arab. These are part of it was linked to an external forces from outside their country, the one in Libya, the one in Tunisia, and so on and so forth. So now let's discuss the external uh, projection, external projection of political value and changing distribution of power. So many studies in recent decades have examined the political attitudes of the general public, and now this attitude relates to one another. E.g., Parrish, 1998, Youth President and Salah, a left right or liberal conservative ideology dimension has been proposed to structure political thought and reduce the complexity of political information. So, however, the structure of political thought transcends the left, right, or liberal conservative divide. There have been few systematic attempts the various political attitudes to investigate what underline the of the electorate. Uh, uh, Potential value approach to the certain attitude organization problem that has not received sufficient attention is based on the value construct. Many have assigned a central role to value as organizer of political evaluation, e.g. Friedman 2003, Thornton and Kwan 2007, Nelson 1995A, Lucas 1973, empirical study empirical study and few in number, however, have largely focused on the single or limited set of values. They are free to inquire how political attitudes systematically relate to the system of basic value priority. So, one reason of the absence of investigation is the possible organization of political attitude of basic and personality value. So, let's move ahead. We have other things to discuss here because of our time. We have other things. So let's discuss the type of political change. We have many type of political change. It's difficult. Political change is difficult for change to occur in many different ways, and at least many different fronts in the political system. One may distinguish several major types of change. We have the radical revolution, first a change of the most fundamental type transformation, not only of the structure of government, but the whole polity. Such change is not limited to political life, but transform also the social order, the moral basis, and the value of the whole society. Drastic change of this can occur in the four great revolution of the modern era. So we also have the structural revision. The second type of change involve alteration of the structure of the political system. Such change is not fundamental in the sense of basic transformation of the nation of the region, but it may produce great shifts in policy and again the recognition that no change in the personnel of government will be effective way of changing government policy prompts many kinds of political action, ranging from election contests to political assassination and various form of coup d'etat. In some systems, the existence of establishing means of change political leadership work to prevent violent crime. So let's move ahead. We are changing your policy. This also affects can also cause government policy may be an important policy of political change. The societal and economic policy of Franklin D. Roosevelt, the New Deal, and the society and the socialist oriented program implemented by the British Labour Party after 1945 are examples. In both the government policy resulted in far-reaching the modification of the functioning of the political system, a vast expansion in the role of government in the economy. So let's discuss what as a contingent in international life. I think this war as a contingent of life is the last topic we'll be discussing here today. So let's quickly, we still have means of maintaining international order. So let's quickly discuss all this because of our time. War is a popular sense a conflict between a political group involving hostilities of considerable duration and magnitude. In usage of social science, certain qualifications are added. Sociology usually apply in the time of such conflicts only if they are initiated and conducted in accordance with the socially recognized. The treat war as an institution recognized in custom or in law. Military writers usually confine the time to hostility in which the content group are sufficiently equal in power to render the outcome uncertain to a time. Army conflicts of powerful states with isolated and powerless people are usually called pacification. Military expedition or exploration with small states, they are called intervention or reprisal and with internal group. Rebellion or insurrection, such incident, if the resistance is sufficiently strong, a protracted may achieve a magnitude and that entitle them to the name war. So there are evolution theories of war, reflecting change in the international system. Theory of war have passed through several phases in the course of the past 3 centuries. After the ending of the war of religion above the middle of the 17th century, war fought for the interests of individual sovereignty. Sovereigns and were limited both in their objective with their scope. The art of maneuvers became decisive. Decisive and analysis of war was cautious according to time of strategy. The situation changed fundamentally with the outbreak of the French Revolution, which increased the size of force from small professional to large conscript armies and broadened the objective of war into rebel. Uh, the causes of war. Let's discuss causes of war. So, causes of war. What are those things that usually causes war? Contemporary theory of the causes of war divided roughly into two major schools. One attributes war to certain innate biology and psychological error, or drives the other attributes it to certain political relations and decision. Both schools include optimistic and pessimistic concerning the preventability of war. So the first one is a biological theory. So which under this we have the etymology, ethology. It should be ethnology, not ethology. Ethnology start with a persuasive argument that study animal welfare may contribute toward an understanding of war employed by a man, the behavior of monkey, and apes in captivity, and the behavior of young children, for example, show basic similarity. In both cases, it is possible to observe that aggressive behavior usually arises. We also have the psychology. One school of theories postulated that the major and the former category include a wide range of ethical psychology. Then the nationalism, people believe in their country. Many theories claim that imply that war results from the allegiance to men of nation and form of intimacy connection between the nation and the state. This kind of war are those are the one in Asia that they're ready to lose their life because of their country. In Gaza, their special interest, whereas same theory was the state on different people are generalized about its behavior. Other theory are more sociological oriented and focus on rule of play with state and various. So the control of war in the international environment within which state and the people within operate is regarded by theories of major factor or determine the occurrence and nation of war. So number one is diplomacy. How to control what is diplomacy. Number one, number two is the regional integrations. We also have the international law. We have the United Nations. These are the people who control war. We also have the peaceful settlement of disputes. The United Nations resolve war, can control war. International law, like the one between Nigeria and Cameroon, international law was the one that was applicable. So then we cease to fight Cameroon or dragging the Bakassi Peninsula with Cameroon. Then regional integration, just like the ECOWAS, the one they are doing presently with Niger. So we also have our diplomacy, all this foreign diplomacy. So they also work on that. So these are system how well are being controlled in the international system. Which other one? Peaceful settlement. We can decide to settle our dispute on ourselves by using the round table method. Then we also have the collective security. It's a peace involving an agreement where each state agree to take collective action against any other state defined as aggressor. So we also have disarmament, where powerful people country disarm the lesser one. So they sold lesser arm to country that they seem to be aggressive. So that is what disarmament is about. Then the last one, mechanism for maintaining international order. So for the world to be maintained, the international system to be maintained, there are mechanisms that are put in place. If not, everybody be so aggressive in the universal system. The emergence of the category of the international order of the theory of international relations caused the emergence of scholars who are engaged in theoretical aspects of international relations and issues related to the research of the concept of the international order. Its nature types and mechanisms. It's believed that the study of the problem of uh, international order is primarily theoretical, since contemporary world politics is characterized by the exacerbation of conflict and contradiction, as well as increase of the order. So on this, there are some, especially some global in the UN International Court of Justice. There are also institutions that are regional, sub-region, and other level. So we have the mechanism for one, which these are institutions. The institution, they are one of who control the international order. Ordering the international relation, we have noted about it should not be exaggerated if you take into consideration of weak conceptualization of the international system, the same as distracted, especially during the last decade. There has been noticed the growth of influence of various international organizations. So we also have the regulatory legal international legal order is prepared as don't forget we are talking of mechanism to control international order. Regulatory legal is prepared in international law. This is a set of contractual and customary law principles and rules that represent a complicated legal complex. The subject matter of which are interstate and other relations. Legal mention to maintain other provide guidelines that constrain the arbitrariness of international actors. International body, UN Security Council, the International Court, International Tribunal of the Law of the Sea, etc. monitor the observance of international. However, the rule international law apply only if the sovereign state agree with them and are willing to obey them. Okay, we have the economical, the value of any factor in international relations in general and the area of maintaining order in particular is growing today. Strengthening of economic ties, creating international regime which regulate trade routes and creating financial and transport connection, promote an ordering of international relationship and create interest in following the role and obligation by the actor of the international system. Thus, economic integration occur not only by national but also the corporation level for formation of a single type of business practices within the global economy, bring economic mechanism of regulation of international system uh, to for to forefront among other tools of building. We also have the political military. Army force as a means of maintaining or restoring international order is used by both separate states by the coalition. However, maintaining peace and stability in certain region of military unit can be imposed according to the mandate of global, regional, or international organization, such as peacekeeping mission in Somalia, Burundi, East Timor, and so on and so forth. Humanitarian operation to maintain order have been carried more and more, often coordinating UN peacekeeping perform their mission in 16 countries. Okay. We also have the cultural ideology, the achievement of international consensus among the states of fundamental value certainly will contribute to international following some certain rule and regulation relation among the subject of international policy. Representative of various ideological political movements have their own idea of the value that can be provided international order. For example, supporter of the Soviet ideology, Marxism, Leninism claimed that the order of the world was only possible after a global victory of communism. So the last one, which is in informational, it is obvious that in the context of globalization, maintaining an order in the world is impossible without a constant exchange of information between the elements of the international system. Today, a global information network is becoming an effective means of cementing international relations and organizing world political space. Density, speed, and availability of modern information made the communication of individual of international policy much easier and allowed to quickly obtain information about the situation in different regions and the actions of other actors to explain our position to certain issues and to coordinate for organization and individual states to policy activities and as the ability of international regulate global processes by making them more order. Okay, that is the end of the class for today. Because we don't really have enough time, we cannot be explaining everything. Most times we are reading some of the script for you to understand. So I believe you carry out more research about all these topics. So sorry for coming late today again. So until next time, wish you success in your exam. Bye bye.